Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary, and I'm thrilled to be able to lead the week of November 1st off with a brand new record from The Cure entitled Songs of a Lost World. This is the 14th studio album for the legendary rockers and their follow-up to 2008's 413 Dream. It's been 16 years, but The Cure made it worth every second of the wait. This is a record that belongs in the top tier of their catalog. I'm excited to hear what all of you think. Please drop your thoughts in the comments. I've heard people say that this is right up behind Disintegration, maybe even better. I think that's pushing it a little bit. But this is a phenomenal record, and it finds Robert Smith and company doing what they do best, just basking gloriously in the majestic and doomy landscapes that they're so brilliant at creating. Robert Smith is seriously one of the very few people in popular music that can just bring the emotional wrecking ball, and every time you throw on their music, you just want to wrap it up like a warm blanket. I will not lie, definitely had to do some preparation going into this album review, as far as just getting in the right head state. Listening to The Cure is not normally how I start my Friday morning. And this particular record, it finds them doing what they do best. I don't think there's any reason to change that up at this point in their career. I mean, they have cultivated one of the most unique styles of popular music of all time. It defies classification. I'm not even going to call it goth or new wave or anything. I think if there's maybe a general foundation, it's post-punk. But this new record finds them just being more expansive sonically than they've ever been, I'd argue. And it's just an incredible experience from start to finish. 8 songs, a tight 49 minutes. There's no wasted space on this thing, and I absolutely love that about it. There's a number of fun things to talk about on this record. We get the return of Roger O'Donnell, and I think when you listen to the work on the keyboards on this record, a lot of that is Robert Smith, but I think that Roger, throughout his years, whenever he's been with the band, I think he is absolutely exceptional, really helps, bring The Cure to that upper level, bringing out the best in Robert, I'd argue, artistically. And, seeing Reeves Gabriel actually, be able to record an album with these guys. He's been with the band since 2012, but obviously it's been a long time. And so seeing him appear on record and just being in the studio in the process is incredible. Robert Smith, his voice, it hasn't aged a bit at all. He sounds remarkable on this record. The melodies that he's creating are just so breathtakingly devastating, and they're complemented so well by music that brings the same type of dynamic. I mean, this record seriously is just seismically gut-wrenching. The Cure has always been, purveyors of darkness. They've always been able to bring the doom and gloom, but on this record, you have a band that, I think most of them are pretty much in their mid-60s now. So reaching that point in life where, the idea of your mortality starts to set in a lot heavier, and you feel the weight of that in this record. But again, it's just beautifully carried by the melodies. There's this dissonance in their music, in their style, that, you get that dichotomy of emotions. You see and you feel the emptiness and the sadness, but you also, understand the contrasting element of that is happiness, is the feelings of joy. And there's really no experiencing either of those without the other. And so I feel that The Cure, a big part of what makes their music so special is that they've always been able to capture that emotion. The human experience is complex and it's complicated, and especially, situations that carry a lot of weight in our lives. There's always an amalgamation of feelings that we have that are swelling in our head that dictate our thoughts and the way that we approach life and choose to move forward. And, Robert Smith, to his credit, he captures that essence better than most pop artists. And I love that is just such a strong component of their music still to this day. And even more so in this record, I want to get into some of the lyrical content of this album, because it's just brilliant. The opener alone. And I will say too, I cheated on this record real quick. Normally I try not to listen to stuff, but they've been playing some of this music live, been able to get a hold of some videos, and just looking at the track list, thinking about the way this thing came together, is like it made me really excited to see what this record would be like in its entirety from start to finish, and it just doesn't disappoint. So Alone, your opening track, you get these somber atmospheric synths that give this radiant backdrop. I mean, it's just gorgeous and opulent. Like, I love this opening track. It feels like if I could put it into words, it almost kind of feels like what it would sound like, what the experience would be like to pass on. I mean, that's the gravity and the contrasting feeling of emotions that I get when I hear the music. And like, I love the slow chug of the bass as this song starts to build. You get these like oceanic guitar textures, and piano play, and just the rhythm guitar as well that starts in the beginning, that just starts to layer there. And like there's a rawness to it, but it's also well produced, that it kind of sits there in the background a little bit, and it's extraordinarily complimentary. This is the end of every song that we sing, is how this song opens up. And Robert Smith, in his emotional brevity, is incredible on this record. I mean, there are so many moments, like so many simple lyrics that convey just like almost just like a cumbersome emotional weight. Like, for real, like, I dare you to get through this thing without shedding a tear. It is a lot. And he goes on in this song, and we toast with bitter dregs to our emptiness, and the birds falling out of the skies, and the words falling out of our minds. It's just like, wow. Doing a lot with very little there. So certainly, in conjunction with the quality of his voice that is still there, I mean, he is just absolutely crushing the lyrical performance on this record. It's just a brilliant atmospheric opener to kick this thing off. It's going to lead into your second track, And Nothing Is Forever. Get these, I love the way that the piano shifts to this like bright ethereal mood, like seconds in. It starts off really dark and moody, but then it makes this shift, and synths start to build to match around this thing. It's a track that patiently builds, and this is a record in general that it doesn't, bother about anybody's feelings and whether it takes its time or not. It moves at its own pace. It's glacial. It's freaking just heavy and gorgeous, and I feel like it deserves that weight. Half of these songs, Robert Smith doesn't even start singing basically until halfway through them. And it's another thing that I really enjoyed about this record. I think the only reviewer that I was checking out that didn't like this was Rolling Stone Germany. They said the intros were boring, and I disagree. I think the build on all of these tracks, especially the ones with those big opens before the vocal hits, it's incredible how fast those moments pass you by, because the emotional weight of what you're listening to sucks you in so much that by the time you hear Robert, it's almost like he's like waking you out of a coma. It's like this trance that they've put you in, and then he just brings you out of it, and kind of lulls you back into it as well, as you listen to what he's singing about, and the gravity of what's going on thematically. It takes you back in that direction. I mean, it's just one of the many things that's so brilliantly done on this record. This song, like gorgeous but heartbreaking. I love the way that there's more complementary piano that works in and out, that usher in Smith's vocals especially. They're so tragic when they hit. The end of this song, I wanted to read the lyrics on this one too, because this is one that really was just impressed by. I know that my world has grown old, but it really doesn't matter if you say we'll be together. If you promise you'll be with me in the end. If you promise you'll be with me in the end, and slide down close beside me in the silence of a heartbeat. Like, wow. Like, freaking wow. It's a lot, and it's so brilliantly done. I think it's so impressive. Your third track, A Fragile Thing, is it comes at the right moment, especially off the heaviness of that last lyric. And I like the lovely cinematic piano that's going to open this thing up, but the rhythm hits, and it's got this just like nice upbeat mid-tempo vibe to it, breakbeat percussion and thick driving bass. And Simon is killing it on this record. I mean, I applaud all the players. Again, Roger, and Reeves showing up. Jason Cooper, longtime percussionist and drummer, like he's killing it with what he's doing on this track as well. Just bringing in a really excellent rhythm component on this track. You get more of that somber kind of gothic element, kind of think kind of more like alternative metal, a little bit of light industrial that's driving this song, but it's got more edge. And what I like about the edginess is that the guitars, they're weightless. It's a very interesting contrast how light they are, but they create the perfect texture. And I love the guitar solo, the way that works in and utilizes space in the song is absolutely brilliant. War Song is your fourth track. It's ominous, like accordion-like synths that open up. It's I've heard comparisons to something that maybe would like Nico would do, and I can definitely see that. I think it's a cool comparison. But big warlike drums coming from Jason on this track, and they build this massive sense of tension. Like the song is unsettling, and I love the way that feeling builds. Basically from the start, from the moment this thing opens, it puts you on edge, and it's brilliantly done with the angst that builds. You get these grinding guitars and just more of that alternative metal, light industrial feel coming at you to close out the A side of this record. The B side is going to kick off with Drone, No Drone. I might argue that this is like the kind of like catchiest song on the record. I know that Other Songs Alone was released as a single. I think A Fragile Thing was released as a single, and Nothing Is Forever, obviously. But this is a song that, I mean, if we're talking about a track that's radio friendly, approachable, I think the synths and the feedback that usher in this like sludgy chugging bass that Simon's thrown down it's amazing. The keys provide a light contrast. I like the element of that song, that dissonance that's there. And it finds this infectious groove. I think this song is so catchy, and it just has that brilliance of understanding like a good pop tracks, the way that any good songwriter does. I know that this is a band that is going to do what they do. But Robert Smith is a guy that's always had that propensity and can throw down a little bit and incorporate it brilliantly when he wants to. And I think this song highlights that. But you get more of that edgier alternative metal feel, dark, playful synths. And just, I really like the way that the guitar solo hits and the synths towards the end of the solo just start to play off that. I mean, that's a really cool component of the song, and a great way to lead off the B-side once again, because your next song, your sixth track, I Can Never Say Goodbye, is really heavy. It's about Smith losing his brother. You get this track that opens up with the sound of a storm, like a little bit of thunder, soft thunder and rain. They create this, really eloquent backdrop for this melancholy piano that just it twinkles with this almost kind of like insulting brightness. It's almost kind of like, when you're going through a bad day and everybody walking by you is just smiling. It kind of has that vibe to it. It's just really complex and brilliant. I love the stomping percussion that Jason brings on this particular track as well. It demonstrates the perfect restraint. It never quite, gets like big to take over the track. And so I love that grinding bass again, coming in at this low tempo that drifts along. The synth textures that build in really enhance the brighter elements of this track. And again, just Robert showing off the brilliance of being able to bring those emotions together. Very, very contrasting emotions, the light and the dark side, and the way that it meets at the middle, which is often, the case in life. We go through tragedies and we try to find closure. We try to find a way to move forward. A lot of that is trying to think about, good memories, trying to think about the brighter side of life and the things that make us happy. All I Ever Am is your seventh track. Got these rolling, stomping drums with gentle string-like synths that are going to open. The drums find a mid-tempo breakbeat groove that's pretty cool. I like that element of Jason's drumming on this record. Brilliant synths once again. Talking about that ability to capture hope and despair in a little riff, or whether it's a little synth piece or a guitar lick. This is a band that they create a lot of texture with their minimalism. It's just one of the many things impressive about them, and especially as they've progressed through the years, their music has become more mature, more sophisticated, just more well-informed by life. The piano plays in and out of this song around those stomping drums. I like the way that intro comes back to usher in the solo on this song. And then your eighth and final track is End Song. It's an appropriate title, somber synths and big rolling drums. The guitars build in behind swelling synths. You get these grinding guitars that honestly, there's a lot on this record that reminded me quite a bit of Pink Floyd, but this particular track, the big open on it, I think it goes for about 6 minutes before Robert comes in with any vocals, but really just got a very big Floyd-esque feel from the guitar. I feel the difference is that, David Gilmour's guitar playing it had like more crisp, more precise on the tone, versus there's definitely kind of like a muddied element to the guitar production on this track, and obviously it suits it well and it sounds amazing. But yeah, heard some Pink Floyd on this thing. I like the way that the synths are creating that signature emotional dichotomy, the tension that builds. There's moments where the melodies are light and you can feel this release, and this is a song that the lyric, this is one of my favorites too. I want to pull this up. He sings, oh my gosh, I had it written down here. Sorry guys. But he sings, "I'm standing outside in the dark, wondering how I got so old." And I mean, just one of the heaviest things that, amongst many heavy things that are on this record, very powerful. And I think that it's a moment, it's something that's, he's talking about, it feels personal, but it resonates with anybody as they move through life, as they get older. The complications of life, even when you're young, sometimes the weight and the gravity of life can bring those thoughts, and they can be tough to tackle and tough to throw around. But it's so lovely to hear Robert frame it, and the way that the music enhances and makes a thought that's that dark and that cumbersome, I guess more easy to tackle, more easy to deal with and try to wrap your head around. Mortality is an intense thing to ponder, and this is a record that certainly it does a lot of that, and I think it does it in a way that that makes the idea of death, that makes the darkness in life just more easy to approach. And I think that when you think about those things, there's also the tendency to try to, maybe look at the brighter side of life, look at some of the more positive things. And it's something that The Cure have always been very solid at doing. They're killing it on this record. It's brilliant. It's a vinyl please for sure. I'm going to give this thing an 8.4 out of 10. It's certainly one of my favorite records of the year, and I hope that you guys get a chance to listen to it sooner than later. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2024, and tune into Classic Wax, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.